Good morning and welcome to Jump In Tucson. I am your host, Dr. Ed Ackerley. Jump In Tucson is a unique format with different hosts on different days, Monday through Friday at 9 to 10 a.m. On Mondays, we host Wonder, the good things happening at the University of Arizona. Wednesdays, Grant Kruger is in. Tuesdays, Ted Maxwell. I don't know why I did that in reverse. Thursdays, Tom Moulton and Visit Tucson and the Southern Arizona Attractions Alliance. And then on Fridays, we do success stories, business success stories and organizations. And when we talk about business and we talk about individual taxpayers, but we talk about business, one thing we talk about is my nephew, who is Chris Ackerley. He is the Pima County Treasurer. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for being here. Thanks for taking that 10:30 p.m. call saying, hey, what are you doing in the morning? I need a guest at 9 o'clock. Can you come and do that?
Not a problem.
I'm teasing, but it's a little bit true. You know, you're running for something which is really important, Pima County Treasurer, and but guess what? You are Pima County Treasurer.
I am.
Yeah, so you
appointed 2 months ago, a little over 2 months ago, to the position. Beth Ford retired after 24 years. I had lunch with her the other day. She is loving retirement, but the job of the office goes on. It's one of those positions that's unexciting,
right?
But is exciting. I mean, I'm a nerd, so I geek out on it. Yeah. But the reality is it's a position where your whole job is to stay out of the newspaper.
Right.
Because if the treasurer's office is in the newspaper, not good things have happened. And
right.
Beth kept herself out of the newspaper for 24 years, and I intend to do the same.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite as long, but keep it out of the newspaper.
Yeah, it is funny. Yesterday when we were talking, you know, you were supposed to get out of there at noon. You had some campaign stuff that you were going to do at noon, and at 6:30 you called me and said, "I'm just leaving the office now." So you spent a good 10 or 12 hours yesterday in the office on a day that you were supposed to.
So it is a full-time job.
Yeah,
it is absolutely a full-time job. It is not ribbon cuttings and rubber chicken dinners.
Right.
It is an administrative post, and it is incredibly significant one, and that's going to be the challenge in this election. Is to get the message out in the political noise of all the national and politics, is to say Pima County really needs somebody who's experienced in the job,
right,
to do it. The position doesn't set public policy. We don't get to set the agenda for the county or approve their budgets or set tax rates. That's all done by other elected positions. Our job is to basically make the county function. We manage $2 billion in deposits. And we facilitate about $200 million in transactions every week. And we need to do that without incidents and without excitement.
Right. Yesterday, I'm not sure I can divulge exactly what you were working on because you were kind of working on it, but we were having that conversation about how you were quietly fixing something that needed to be fixed. It's
what the job is.
Yeah.
is to fix the issues behind the scenes, so nobody ever knows.
Right. And like you say, you just have to plow through it and make it happen. Yes. The transactions just have to be as flawless as they can be,
yes,
so that nobody makes their name to the headlines of the. Here's what happened at the Pima County Treasurer's office today.
Yes.
I thought it was interesting that we were talking, just a silly little aside, you know, I'm a professor at the University of Arizona, and we have a P-card system down there. You and I were talking about the Pima County Treasurer's office and how you only have a P-card that you use for office supplies, that you don't use the P-card for incidental expenses. I said, so you don't buy your team pizzas on Friday or whatever? Nope. We don't use the P card for that. And
nope, that does not come out of the office. Now, we do occasionally have some festivities in the office, but that money doesn't come out of the treasury. That doesn't come out of the treasury, and
that's a good thing, because that just once that gets started, that's not a good thing for any municipality.
So to put it in context, our budget is the smallest of any of the county departments and offices.
Mm-hmm.
So our entire budget is between $2.5 and $3 million.
Right.
And we earn more than that on the interest on the county's money every month. So in a sense, we're the only department that
makes money.
Actually pays for ourselves.
You're an enterprise. You're an enterprise zone. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I was asking you some questions about how the whole system works and how you operate. And you're basically a credit union for the.
We are essentially a credit union for all the political jurisdictions in the county.
Right, including fire districts.
Including fire districts, the school districts. In fact, over half of the money that we actually manage is collectively the 17 different school districts in Pima County.
Right. And at the same time, you have to push a button every couple of weeks and make payroll for the county. So that's another responsibility that's important for you. So
the big, huge, the sort of things that, will make the papers is we do payroll. Alternating weeks. 1 week it's the county payroll, second week it's schools payroll, and then the other thing is we're responsible for all the payments on all the debt service for all of the bonds that are held by all of the different jurisdictions in Pima County.
That's what you were working on yesterday.
And that's what I was working on yesterday.
You said you got to get out of here because I got to push these buttons so that we make sure we cover the debt service on all the Pima County. That's an interesting. It's a very interesting job that you have, and it's.
It is a fun job. It is problem solving. And I am not. My previous profession was not accountant. Right. I was a high school math and physics teacher. But what I do now is basically solve math problems.
Right.
So it is. It's not directly related. It is a lot of fun.
It was interesting, the little flow chart you had up on the TV the other day when we came in to visit you, and you had just finished that huge flow chart of how to get the money from one side of the house to the other side of the house.
So we're undergoing a massive process in the county. They are changing their financial software countywide. And at the same time, the school superintendent's office, which handles the money for all the school districts, with the exception of 3 that are actually outside that deal directly with us. But nonetheless, they're both changing their financial software systems, and it has been an arduous process. And it continues, and it takes a lot of involvement. And the challenge for the next treasurer, which is going to be me, but the challenge for the next treasurer is our own software system internally needs to be either revamped or replaced. So that process is just going to turn around once we get the county settled, and once we get the school district settled, it's going to turn around, and we're going to have to do it within our own office. So it's a
3 different upgrades.
Major undertaking.
Yeah, great. We're with Chris Ackerley, the Pima County Treasurer. When we come back after the break, we'll talk to him about his run for the office and the election coming up in November. You're listening to Jump In Tucson on KVOI 1030 AM, The Voice, Tucson's only live local news talk station. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back to Jump In Tucson. We're talking with Chris Ackerley. Yes, he is related. He is my nephew. He is the oldest grandchild of my parents, Gene and Gloria Ackerley, and he has been Pima County Treasurer for a couple of months. Has it been a couple of months now?
It's been 2 months, a little over 2 months as Treasurer. Served 2 years prior to that as the Chief Deputy Treasurer.
Right, and then you do have some legislative experience. You were a representative up at the State House.
Yep, former state legislature, represented pretty much south of 22nd Street to Nogales, the then Legislative District 2.
Right. And you also have some national and statewide experience working with the teachers union and being a representative there.
A local officer, and served on the board of directors, and was a national delegate for many, many years. Yes.
I tell this story. I tell it every time you come on, I guess. But our governor, Katie Hobbs, who was a friend, she was in the legislature when you were in the legislature, and she was teasing me it's been a while ago now. It was actually when she was running for governor. She pulled me aside at a hotel up in Phoenix and said, we just really think highly of Chris when we were in the legislature, and there were these 3,300-page bills that we needed to know what was in it. We'd go over to Chris's office, and he would tell us what we were supposed to know.
I did make it a habit to make sure I knew what I was voting on when I was voting on stuff. It is important.
Right.
In fact, I'm dealing with the consequences right now of some legislation that they didn't read before they voted on it, and had some unintended consequences.
Yeah, it's funny how that happens, doesn't it? You get at last day of the legislature, and they're trying to pass 38 bills. There was one guy up there, a state senator. I was watching the Senate thing, and he stood up and said, I have not seen this bill. I have not read this bill. I vote no, because I don't even know what's in it. And I thought, man, we're passing bills with people that haven't even read them yet. So it's very interesting. Well, you're running for the office.
I am running for the office,
and we're going to get you elected here. We're going to get you elected and have you serve a full 4-year term as Pima County Treasurer. So tell us a little bit about the lack of primary and that you're going.
So I do not have a primary. Right. Beth approached me about 3 years ago, said because this is a position that really requires experience in the office. Mm-hmm. It is not a policy setting position. She approached me about 3 years ago and said, I want to retire. I want to retire soon, but I want to retire. And nobody in my office wants to run for the position. Would you consider coming on board? You can do the politics. You can do the math. I can teach you the accounting. And so I joined the office, learned a lot from her, and then 2 months ago took over the reins. But that was only an appointment and only through the election. So I am running for the position. Do not have a primary.
That's because there's no other Republican.
There's no other Republican who is running for the race. I am a Republican running in Pima County, though.
Right.
So no matter whether, I think I'm the best qualified candidate for the job, it is still going to be an uphill battle.
Well, if we could take a leaf out of the playbook that Rex Scott, I happened to see Rex at a funeral of a mutual friend not too long ago, and I thanked him for his kind words. He spent about 7 minutes talking about his justification of why he was going to vote yes on appointing you on an interim basis as the Pima County Treasurer to take over for Beth, and he articulated some pretty powerful stuff.
And I do appreciate Supervisor Scott's and Supervisor Lee's vote to appoint me to the position. Their willingness to put the interests of the county as a whole over the partisan politics. In full disclosure, Rex Scott and I worked together.
Right.
I was math teacher at Ironwood Ridge while he was a vice principal there. So we have that one. That was 20 years ago. So we have known each other for a long time. And of course, I also appreciate Supervisor Christie, obviously, for nominating me for the position and his full support.
So you've got this election coming up. It's one of those things that I have a little bit. Not that I'm pointing the spotlight back at me, but when I ran for mayor 2 times, because I ran as an independent, I didn't have a primary, and people would stop me and say, how come you're not running for mayor? I've been running for mayor. I've been running for mayor for 2.5 years. I just don't have a primary because independents don't have a primary. They go straight to the general election, and you're kind of in that boat.
I mean, my name will appear on the ballot, but I have to get 1 vote in order to win it. Actually, I believe I have to get 1,200 votes, but
yeah.
But
you're not having an active primary.
But I don't have the world plastered with signs at the moment because I'm not in a primary, and between the weather and the mischief, most of them would disappear by the time the general election comes down. There will be some up, so the race is really the general election. There are 2 candidates running in a Democratic primary to replace me. Neither of them have any direct experience with the office. One of them has no real financial experience. The other one did work in the assessor's office for many years and did work with county finance for a bit. However, it's 2 totally different worlds. I often make this analogy that, yes, an electrician and a plumber are both involved in building a house. However, you do not want to hire the electrician to do your plumbing. Right. It's going to stink the place up really fast.
Right.
Both of them have made, as part of their platforms, they're running in a primary, very socially conscious statements about what they intend to do with the office. The problem is what we do in the office is pretty narrowly defined by statute.
Yeah, it's statutory.
And
Right.
there are some issues with the things that they're proposing. Not that they're not good ideas, maybe, but it's not the purpose of the office, and it really, runs afoul of statute. So it does really take somebody. And to that respect, the Treasurer's Office is mentioned in, I believe, all but 2 of the titles in Arizona revised statute. Now, sometimes it's not significant, it's just a passing mention, but we have a part to play in almost every aspect of state and local government.
Right.
And it's important to know what all of those connections are, how they all fit together, and how they affect the office.
Right.
And that's not something, even if somebody was to come from the outside accounting world, it's not even something that you learn in that. You learn that over time with exposure to that.
Right.
Having served in the legislature, I had that experience having been involved in school funding issues throughout my entire career, right? And that being the vast majority of the money and probably the most complex funding system in the state. I have that experience, and then I also have the 2 years of experience of actually working in the Treasurer's Office, actually running the mechanics that make all of those transactions flow on a day-to-day basis.
So we're talking with Pima County Treasurer Chris Ackerley. Let's talk a little bit about money. In order for anyone to run a campaign, money is really important, and because you don't have a primary, it's a little bit difficult to raise some money, and that the mojo hasn't kind of started for your general election yet, and you don't have your signs up all over the place. But it's critical that we get some money in for your campaign. So
money is important. It is truly a key. So as I said, a Republican running in Pima County, which is fairly skewed to the other side registration wise, I have to get the message out that I am the one that has experience for the job, and that the job is uninteresting, essentially, to the public.
Yeah, not sexy.
You don't want the treasurer to be making all sorts of news.
Right.
So I have to get that message out. And in the political noise that will happen about a national presidential race currently in our environment, and where Arizona is such a key factor in deciding the presidency and the who controls the Congress, it's going to be tough, and it's going to require money. It's going to require to get the money. Require money to get the message out using advertising in the general election.
What kind of money are you asking for right now? What are you trying to get from voters who want to see experience?
Well, unlike the national campaigns that raise millions and millions of dollars from all sorts of outside interests, and state elections, which have the option of participating in the clean election system where they can qualify for state money, no such thing exists at the county level. So every dollar, whether somebody's willing to donate $5 or they're willing to donate $6,500, which is the maximum, any dollar is greatly appreciated to help us get the message out.
Yeah. So if people listening that know you and know the importance of the Pima County Treasurer and know Chris Ackerley and know what he stands for and so forth, if we could encourage some donations here before the end of the month. There's a reporting period coming up.
Yeah, the third quarter, or excuse me, the second quarter report is due at the end of the month.
Right.
And chrisackerley.com. And there is a donate button there, and any dollar would be greatly appreciated.
And if you've already given, you can still give. You can give up to that $6,300 level. So if you already gave $20, give $20 more this month, and
any dollar would be appreciated.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're all about shameless plugs, as Chris says. Chris DeSimone says at the Wake Up Tucson show. We're all about shameless plugs here. Chris, you are the best person for the job. You are obviously very skilled at the job, and Beth wouldn't have asked you to do this if it wasn't a meaningful thing. So let's see if we can get some people to donate. Go to chrisackerley.com.
chrisackerley.com.
And or they can also give you a call. Go to the website, give you a call, and talk to you about anything that they would have coming up. So we'll have you back a couple of times between now and the election as we move forward. And good luck to you. And we'll we'll have you back.
Thanks for having me on today.
Thanks, Chris Ackerley,
All right.
Pima County Treasurer.